Hello everyone, I hope you're having a beautiful day and this message finds you in high spirits wherever you are in the world. I'm actually going to share with you today a very powerful practice, and this practice is particularly powerful at this time. Obviously, everybody on the planet has been going through substantial changes, substantial sort of external stimuli that's been changing over the past couple of years in particular, and it's caused this sort of shut down amongst a lot of people in accessing their core desires, because they're feeling almost as if they don't have a lot of control. And when we don't feel like we have any control, or we feel that there's something out there that's threatening us, or that is infringing on our personal personal ability to be able to manifest or to actually experience the things that we want in life, generally people go into a space of just survival. And when we're in a space of survival, we're just acting on impulse in the moment, in terms of actually getting through a moment to moment. So the desires and things that we actually experience are sort of very, very fleeting, very passing, but just enable us to get the basic needs or things that we need in that moment met, for the purpose of, basically surviving in the way that we know how. So practices like this at the moment are incredibly powerful, and they just remind us of the true power that we have in order to actually experience the life that we genuinely want to experience here, because it's never being kept from you. Effectively, there's different things that come at us at different times that we have to navigate, but we always have a choice, and we always have the ability to be able to access the true inner wisdom inside us that tells us what our true desires are and what we are innately moving towards, and how we can go about attracting that and pulling that and that experience into our reality. So that we actually have, as human beings, 2 points of attraction. The first point of attraction is the human vessel. It's the desire center that is stationed within the human, that is a byproduct of our programming, of our experiences, of the things that we perhaps, were given as a byproduct of somebody else's desires, that we have to sort of sift through and understand that maybe that isn't for us as we get older and through life. Particularly, this comes down if you have, parents that wanted you to go down a specific, like line of work, or, to marry a specific type of person, or any of those sorts of things. We can often carry those into our adult years. And it's not until we sort of come up against that and realize that was not a desire born from us, it was born from somebody else, that we then are able to clear it and actually access our own innate desires and what that looks like for us. So our innate human desire center is a byproduct of past experiences. It's a byproduct of the emotional plethora of what it means to actually access joy and expansion in a life that we're able to access, and the language that gets alchemized with that based on those experiences. So for example, if you're somebody that desires to have sort of deep soulmate relationship in your life, you've had sort of like a string of relationships that have been very painful or have been sort of expansive, but in sort of the direction of knowing what you don't want. So now you're ready for something that you do want. And that experience dictates that desire that then gets launched and born through you and then goes out into the universe, and that comes from sort of the human innate desire. And the secondary aspect that we have, obviously, is that we have all of these, the alchemical and mechanical aspects of us, which are the human. We then have the soul, and the soul comes in with its own trajectory, its own agreements, its own contracts. And these things are always vying to express themselves through us, because the soul comes here to expand. It comes here for evolutionary purposes, in order to actually gain experience, to expand itself. And the way it does that is through the human vessel, and the way that shows up for us. So when we talk about desire, it isn't just one point of attraction. And to actually enable us to move towards the things and actually fast track our way to experiencing the things that we really want, we have to alchemize both of these aspects of ourselves, which is often something that is not taken into consideration because it isn't very widely spoken about. And when it comes to sort of our human innate desire, if we are carrying a lot of programming, and we're carrying a lot of things that have come from, projections of other people's desires, or we don't necessarily know what we want because we're not allowing ourselves to sort of like give ourselves the opportunity to explore things, that spike our curiosity, and we're holding ourselves back in that way, then this can also lead to sort of people suppressing the desire center. And with where we are as a human race, and with where sort of people are on their on their paths at this moment in time, and really what is needed is for people to really drill back into their desire center and allow those things to really come through them. So this practice, as I say, is designed to alchemize all of those aspects so that you get them all moving in the same direction. You have an understanding of what the human desires are, but also what the soul's desires are for you at that time, because those are the ones that hold enough energy in order to create a universal shift to bring them into alignment and to bring them as a manifestation into your life. We're always launching sort of mini desires and things as we go throughout the day. A lot of these are directed obviously from our basic needs, moment to moment to moment, in terms of sort of the food we need to eat, or if we need to drink something, or those sorts of things. But core desires are things that cause major shifts and expansion in our life. So when obviously these two things are alchemized together, it creates a very powerful shift, and we become very, very powerful creators. So in order to do the practice, get yourself into a space where you feel calm, where you feel centered. If you're somebody that meditates a lot, that's perfect. You'll be able to get into this space very, very quickly. If you're not, then meditation will serve you massively with all of these sorts of practices, because it bridges the gap between the conscious, the subconscious mind, and enables the soul to speak through you. So if you're new to meditation, you're watching this video, I would highly recommend sort of starting to cultivate that practice as a daily thing anyway, so that you can access all these aspects of you. So in order to start, as I say, get yourself into a calm and centered space, and then imagine that you are drawing a line, and it's dropping all the way through the top of your head, all the way through your body, all the way through your sacral and into your root. Once it hits your root, and you can do a visualization of the color of your root, which is red, and the alchemical sort of mixture of your sacral as well, which is the sort of the orangey corally color as well, which mixes in with that. Circulate the energy in that area so that you are stimulating it heavily. If you feel any restriction, or as if there's any sort of strangeness coming up in terms of feelings of shame, or anything that is stopping you circulating the energy in that area, sit with the emotions and whatever needs to come up, let it be seen, let it be present in the heart space, and then drop back in to the root and keep doing that exercise, clearing out that area. And you will start to find that the area calms, and you get a clear sense of direction that suddenly enters your body. When that clear sense of direction comes in, ask yourself the question, what do I want? You can ask this internally, you can ask it out loud, and then sit there and allow the information to fill your body. It'll come through people in different ways. It will come through, obviously, for some people it'll come through visually, it'll come through in feelings. Some people see colors, and it may be sort of an interpretive language that you get a lot of different fragments of things that come forward that need to be put together in order to understand the bigger picture of what the desire, your core desires at that time are, that are sort of lining themselves up to want to manifest in reality for you. And once you've sat in that space and you feel there's nothing else coming forward, you can either write all those things down, you can make a note of them. And then what you want to do again is go back into the same space. Imagine the line is drawing all the way through your body, but then take the line all the way through your root and drop it to the middle of where between your tailbone and where your knees are, so the space between those two areas. What you then want to do is circulate the energy in that space, and imagine a sort of like a green portal in that area, just a green doorway, or however that may present to you psychically in your mind. And allow yourself to drop through that portal. Imagine the energy drops through that portal. There's where you're entering the seat of your soul. And the seat of your soul will release the information to you. The way it presents to me is that I see this cauldron that's bubbling up, and from the cauldron starts to bubble up all of these things, all of these fragments that are coming from the soul, or these bits of information that reveal a bigger picture. But generally with the soul communicates more through slightly symbolic language. It's not as sort of direct in the way that the human body will tell you, I want this or I want that. The soul will communicate in a more expansive way, and it'll utilize different things. So you may get different fractals, as I say, different pieces of, again, colors or certain things that enter your feeling body, or sort of the more subtle nature of the way that the soul communicates. So sit with that for as long as you need to. Again, if you're getting anything that is stopping you accessing that part of you, just ask that you clear any fears or hesitation around accessing the true essence of your soul. And you can sit with this practice as many times as you need to. I'm actually going to encode this video with an activation in order to assist people that are struggling to sort of get through the barriers, because it will assist you in sort of softening those barriers to help you to get through them. And then if there's anything you need to come back to in terms of obstacles or anything like that that's showing up that's stopping you accessing the desire center, those can be revisited at a later date. But this will just help to soften the gateways and enable an activation so that you can actually get yourself into that space and pull that information from yourself. So just, if you would like the assistance, just say I am open to receiving the assistance from this video in order to help me to access my true innate desire centers so that I may see them manifest. And you will feel a softening in your body and a softening in the chakras wherever it needs to be. So once you have done that and those languages have come forward, then look at the two desire centers and what they've communicated to you. If you see within sort of the human desire center that there's a massive difference between what's coming through the soul directive and the human directive, this is an indicator that the desires that the human is launching are coming from an unconscious space, because generally the soul aspect of you will launch desires that are able to interlace and weave in with the human desires. So what that potentially looks like, for example, say the human aspect of you is seeking and calling in soulmate relationship. The soulmate relationship to you obviously is, it's compounded in your body. And then you sink into the deeper layers of your soul, and your soul is looking for expansion through joyful practices or things that sort of give you a feeling of bliss. Say, for example, you've been somebody that's had a lot of responsibility and a lot of things day to day that have needed you to be present and to sort of give your energy to things that are required within responsibility. So you haven't had a lot of time for sort of joyful sort of freeful expansion and experiencing things that are sort of just for the hell of the joy, basically, and feeling that feeling in your body. So that's what's coming through your soul center. To alchemize then the two, obviously, is that the relationship that you are going to be pulling in is going to be somebody that is also very, very joyful, that is able to expand in that way, that is able to sort of hold the space for you to experience that joy. And so the two interlace. So the experience that the soul wants to have, and then the container, which is perhaps sort of the soulmate relationship that's coming in, are both alchemized. So obviously the soul will want different things at different times, but during, obviously, for that particular thing, that's what's being communicated. So the relational aspect and the partnership that needs to come in needs to facilitate that. Otherwise there will be a contradiction and you'll be hitting up against both of your desire centers. So it needs to be somebody fun and spontaneous, and somebody that is able to sort of just live in the essence of joy, so that your soul can fully expand in the way that it needs to within that partnership. So those would be the two languages and the alchemy in which that sits. So if you're getting sort of a complete contradiction in terms of, say, for example, that your desire center again is communicating to you that you want the joy, you just want uninhibited joy. You want to experience new things and, feel the spontaneity of, just experiencing new things that elevate your body and give you that sense of joy. But then the human desire center is communicating to you that you want to go in and you want to do hardcore study for the next 3 years. If your human desire is communicating to you, for example, if this is this is basically communicating to you that the human desire you have at that time is projection, because the soul aspect of you will not be able to get on board with that. And you'll be hitting up against it. So say, for example, you then sign yourself up and you go to university for 3 years, whilst your soul is communicating to you, I need uninhibited joy, I need freedom, I need to go and experience new things right now that are not limited to me having to take on information or me having to be in a conscious state of intellectual learning for the next 3 years, for example, then you are going to be hitting up against it the whole time that you are in that state of study, and you will want to break free from it. So if that, say for example, is a projection coming from your parents, say for example you come out of college and you're going, okay, I need to go to university, even though that's not what your soul is asking of you at that time, in order to actually aid your expansion and to fulfill sort of the deepest innate desires of you, then there is going to be opposition, there is going to be constriction, it is not going to feel easy, and it will not aid your expansion at that time because you're not going to be fully invested in it. So in that moment you recognize that is a projection. My body is holding a projection from somebody else that's told me I need to do this at this time. And so you need to release yourself from that. And that's when sort of looking at what you're holding unconsciously and projections from somebody else are giving to you in order to actually move into your own innate desire center and enable yourself to actually break through any restrictions or any programming that is stopping you from fully enabling the soul expansion through your body. So if you need any more assistance with this, if you get anything coded that comes through that you want a little bit of extra help with, or you're coming up against sort of the conflict, then please drop whatever it is that you need assistance with in the comments below, and I will assist as much as I can. Because this really is sort of a priority thing for everybody right now, and it's a very expansive learning and projection as well, because the human body can be slightly confused when it comes to understanding our innate languages and the way that they communicate from us, especially if we don't have sort of bigger goals for ourselves or things that we want to move towards, or we are holding a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of sort of disharmonious energy in and around what desire means and whether or not it's actually something that we can innately access within ourselves. Because a lot of people suppress their desire centers because they are actually afraid of not being able to fulfill them. And this is a widespread thing, and it's also come with obviously the shame that people and different religions and all those sorts of things have cultivated around sex and around sort of full expression of the feminine energy as well. So if this is something you're coming up against, it's a very powerful indicator, and it will assist you in exactly the same way, because it will indicate to you you're holding subconscious programming, you're holding a projection of beliefs from somebody else that is causing a misfire in your body, and your desires are not being communicated accurately to you. Because the soul holds a lot more energy, it holds a lot more traction in terms of the expansion and moving towards something. So it will always continuously try and communicate to you, even when you're trying to override that with the human desires that are perhaps in conflict. So I hope this was a powerful and assistive practice for you. Again, if you have any questions or you need any further assistance, please drop that in the comments below. Let me know how you get on with this practice, and know that everything that is really genuinely being birthed through you is for you, because those innate desires would not be coming up, they would not be coming through the portal of your soul and fueling and coming through your body if they were not for you. So know that they are, and you will always be given the steps in order to ensure that they are manifest in your reality. The only job that we need to do as human beings is enable that everything is on board, everything is moving in the same direction, because when it isn't, this is when we come up against the conflict, the exhaustion, the feeling like nothing is working. And these are the redirects that we're getting from our soul, and the indicators that we're perhaps holding beliefs or programming or projections from others that are not moving us towards our highest expansive, fulfilling, joyful and blissful life. So thank you all so much for joining me. Again, if you have any questions, drop them below, and I will check in all with you soon. Take care.